Well, all right!
Welcome back, as it should be. Right here!
Oh, yeah!
And the brown baby says it should be studio!
Yeah!
All right, Papa Little here!
Oh,
yeah! Over here we got Chris Duran!
Oh, yeah!
And the brown baby says it should be studios!
Yeah!
Oh, yeah!
Oh, yeah!
Guess what?
Oh!
You think that's it? We got Tommy Papa Boy!
Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! How many people out there like lead guitar?
Oh, I do!
I don't! I like rhythm guitar!
Say we got Crystal on lead guitar.
Oh, yeah!
We got Paul Berlino on lead guitar. And we got Tom Van Born on lead guitar.
Oh, lead guitars! Yeah!
All right.
Well, we're
So,
all-
as you
we
might have
done
figured
now?
out
Yeah.
by now, we're going to be discussing our favorite guitarists, our
Yes,
favorite
we
guitar
are.
players,
Yes, we are.
and our least favorite guitar players. But first, we probably are going to want to.
Put
Oh,
these
we wish
down.
We're going to want to
down.
get rid. We're going to want to get rid of this.
You got
shit.
any? Ooh, do the As It Should Be magic.
Oh, yeah.
You're the
Oh.
only one who has that magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right.
Ah.
Okay. Woo.
Good thing we got those roadies, huh?
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that worked.
Interns
Okay.
quit,
Let's
now we got
discuss.
roadies.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think. I mean, let me see. I don't even know who goes first. I think it's
I
me.
think it's you.
It's you.
It's you.
Well, I guess it means I'm going to need these then.
That means I'm the meat in this guitar sandwich.
Oh shit.
Once again.
Yep.
Guitar!
Guitar.
Sandwich. Ah.
Okay, all right. Well, let's do this then. I have 3 honorable mentions. Just
Word.
Okay.
you know that I didn't even really have to. I don't know. I didn't even really have to have these honorable mentions. They're just there, so I thought I'd read them.
Do what you gotta do, bro.
Peter Green, Steve Ray Vaughan, and Davy Johnstone.
Oh, okay.
I do want to comment about Peter Green. I'm really not a fan of that early Fleetwood Mac, all the blues covers and stuff.
Right.
But Peter Green sound was so good. His tone is so great. His playing is so amazing. I wish that they had done more original material during that period, because the original material they did have was great. You had Oh Well, you had Albatross, you had all these kind of good. Black Magic Woman was their song.
Right.
But 90% of what they did is just like, okay, another Elmore fucking James song. Okay, got it. Got it. And it's just such a waste of a really great sounding band. But anyway.
Oh, well.
All right.
Did you say, oh well?
Oh, well. Oh, well.
I didn't even mean it. Oh, I can't.
Part 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
All right. Okay, so for my actual list,
List.
I have 10 guitar players here. Now, I mean, I have to say this order is a little loose. It was because it was very difficult. It was very difficult to put these in order. And honestly, I have a number 1. Is it my number 1? Possibly this week. This is really tough.
Yeah.
What are you drinking? It smells really good.
Oh, it's a strawberry margarita.
Oh, okay. Not that that's at all pertinent to the subject matter at hand. I couldn't. The room is permeated by this
It's
good
yummy.
smelling drink.
It's good.
Okay. All right. Coming in number 10. Curtis Mayfield. Curtis Mayfield. Yeah.
Well played, sir.
Yeah. I mean, so you guys know what I'm talking about. Now, Curtis's style has been so widely copied that it's basically part of the oxygen that flows. I mean, quite a lot of the R&B guitar playing quite a lot of R&B guitar playing in general really just comes directly from him. What you know as R&B style guitar playing, that's people doing Curtis Mayfield. Hendrix nabbed a good bit from him. I mean, Castles Made of Sand,
yeah.
Little Wing. He's doing Mayfield. He's doing Curtis Mayfield on that. You know, or a song like Beast of Burden. That's Curtis Mayfield.
The thing about Curtis Mayfield is that he had a very specific tuning
Yeah.
that people have tried to do, and they get super close, but not exactly it. And when he died, that was the end of it.
Well, he even when he was alive, but he was, paralyzed.
Oh, did you see that documentary?
Well, I don't
talked
know if I
about
saw
it?
the same documentary, but I have seen an interview at the time, and him saying, he goes, he had like this kind of sharpish kind of tuning. He's like, I can't teach anybody how to do this because I can't show him.
Yep.
Because he was paralyzed neck down.
Oh God, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that accident.
He had a
was
lighting.
on
There was
stage,
in
a lighting
1990.
rig,
There was a lighting rig accident. The lighting rig fell on him.
That was
Oh God.
it. Yeah.
So for the last 15 or so years of his life, he
in
was
a wheelchair,
paralyzed.
like breathing thing.
And he's like, yeah, he goes, my exact style of playing, properly done in the right tuning, it's lost to time because I can't teach anybody how to do it.
God damn it.
Yeah. But anyway, so number 9.
Number 9.
It's a tie.
Oh,
What?
shit.
Now let me explain. This is a legitimate tie because these are two guys who are the left hand and right hand of the same person. They're in the same band, and they're brothers. Like you can't figure out where I'm going with this.
Oh.
Angus and Malcolm Young.
Yep.
You kind of can't have one without the other.
You gotta have them.
I initially had them each as separate entries on this list, but I went, I wasn't desperate for a spot to try to squeeze another guitar player. I just was literally like, no, that's the same entry. That is the same entry.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I know where you're going with that.
Yeah. And I what do I need to say about these guys? I mean, they're both. There are some guitar players who really can do really great rhythm and great lead, and like I said, these guys are like two parts of the same person because Angus is the great lead, Malcolm is the great rhythm. But they play together so perfectly. Like their tones and their sounds just are. It's like it's the same guy.
Yeah.
And
I'm not mad at that.
yeah. Well, no, I'm not still trying to explain away it being a tie. I'm just talking about.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about them now.
I get it.
But yeah, I just love them. Okay. Number 8. Brian May. Of course. I mean, what would a list of guitar players be without a Brian May?
Agreed.
Inclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's basically a one-man guitar orchestra, like Tom Schultz, but he's the first
Red
one-man
Rider.
guitar orchestra, really.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and I just always found it so incredible that he just has had that one guitar
For 10,000
since he was a teenager,
years. Yeah.
and went on every one of those tours with that one guitar.
Yep.
And nothing ever happened to it. It never got bumped into anything. It's just like
Well, he tours with replicas now.
now he would. But I
for
mean,
a long time.
I don't think
just,
any
Yeah.
it
proper
was just
Queen
that.
tour though.
Yeah, I don't think he could even get that thing insured at this point. I don't know. I mean, it's
Probably not.
irreplaceable.
It's
I don't know if
irreplaceable.
Lloyd
Yeah,
Zalone
yeah.
would even touch that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, Brian May.
Yeah.
What else is there to say about that? And speaking of what else is there to say, what else is there to say about my number 7? Jimi Hendrix. I mean, it's almost no point of me even putting him on the list. It's almost implied. Oh, guitar, Hendrix. Okay,
This
got
is
it.
true. Actually,
Yeah.
you almost don't even need
But-
to name him.
Yeah, and also talk about somebody that it's difficult to place because he's one of the greatest, but there are guitar players that aren't as great as him that I have up on this list that I like more.
Well, it's so unfair that we lost Hendrix. Well, he was so young, and it was so early on.
Yeah.
And we never got to hear what he would have done with the instrument in the
Yeah.
70s or the 80s, 2 massive decades for guitar.
Yeah.
What would Hendrix have done? Surely would have been something fucking fascinating.
Yeah.
That was just the beginning. That was his
Yep.
early. That was his early period that we got, and that's that. He would
Yep.
have blossomed into something else. He would
Absolutely.
have gone somewhere else entirely.
Directions we couldn't even really predict.
Yeah.
I think he would have gone into jazz for a
I was
while.
going to say, I think fusion.
Oh, he
would have
definitely
made
would have
some
done
records
fusion.
without question.
There would have been a fusion
Buddy
period in the
Miles,
mid
they would-
Oh, God, yeah.
70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he would have been one of those guys, I think, that would have done. Probably every record would have been totally different.
Right.
But he would have he probably would have invented some shit.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we're assuming all this.
I would have loved to have heard Hendrix when the Floyd Rose was invented. When he would have had a trem that didn't go out of tune on him. What could he have done with that?
How would he have weathered the 80s? What would Hendrix have done in the 80s?
So I actually read an article, I think it might have been Guitar World years ago, where they were specifically trying to
Figure that
parallel, timeline. What would have Hendrix's timeline? They did basically it was a fake interview with Hendrix that took place in like the early 90s, and they talk about his ill-received 80s records. Where he attempted to get into the 80s metal market, but they didn't go over well. And I'm reading this and I'm like,
What?
I still want to hear those records, though. Because it's still Hendrix. What would he have done with that, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty great, though.
And then he would have inevitably, there would have been a huge resurgence in the 90s again for him, and he would have gone back to his roots, and it would have been like a whole second wave.
Some of his trajectory would have been the same as everyone's, because in a way everybody kind of was on the same.
They all kind of got hit with the
everybody
same
went
thing.
to the same eras and bent to those eras to a certain extent.
Right.
Yeah.
But it would have been fascinating to hear it.
Yeah. Anyway, all right.
I feel like I'm
My
having
number
deja
6.
vu right now.
I have him above Hendrix. He's not. He isn't worth licking Hendrix's big toe. He just had greater impact on me as a kid. Ace Frehley.
Oh, God. Are you for real?
I knew
Because
it.
I was a kid.
You're kidding me.
He's not better than Hendrix.
Okay.
Ace is in my heart more.
Okay. Okay. I'll leave.
Yeah, he's not better than Hendrix. And also I want to tell you too, like I said, the order of these is a little loose. I didn't
Fast and loose.
you saw me. I had to sit there and put the numbers. It's because I didn't quite go, oh wait, is this person above this person? So there's a little bit of
Fluctuation?
you know.
Leeway?
So Ace Frehley isn't really. He's
Liquid?
obviously not better than Hendrix. He isn't a pimple on the ass of Hendrix. But I feel like he had a greater impact on me because I was a kid.
There was a time and a place.
It's a time and it's a place.
I get it.
Okay. All right.
Hendrix is obviously greater, and but you know, okay, Ace Frehley.
Okay.
His sound is distinct. I'll give you that. Mm-hmm. And the thing about his solos is that they're like songs within songs. Really, I feel like, you know what I mean, kind of in a way. You know what I mean? They're kind of their own. They
No, I'm with you. I mean, Bob Kulick he definitely laid down some great Ace Frehley solos for him. I'm with you there, man. Like,
we did.
Ouch!
But Ace Frehley laid down the better Ace Frehley solos.
Ooh, that's a punch in the
Ace
face.
Frehley laid down the
Yeah.
far better Ace Frehley solos.
oh yeah, he was able to leave that card game.
No! Wow.
So you really hate Ace?
We're coming back around to Ace.
Yeah.
Just put it
Well,
there.
then your answer to that
Let's
question
just
is
put
yes.
it there.
But yeah, you know, you guys and all the people are going to come into the comments. I told you, I know that Hendrix is better. So all the fuckers are going to come to the comments. Fuck off. Anyway, next.
Oh, they're coming anyway. They're coming for you.
Number 5. And I actually managed to he actually managed to just magically sit above Ace on this list. Eddie Van Halen. That's where it just happened to sit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, should I? You guys heard of Eddie Van Halen, right?
I heard one.
Somewhat.
One or two
You guys
songs,
know what his
yeah.
style's like,
He's
right?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really
Is that
annoying when
really-
he was like right in the face of the audience when he played. I didn't like that, but whatever.
Well, you know.
Well, it's that really clean jazz pop guitar playing that
Yes.
he did, where he was very much a contemporary of George Benson.
Very Django Reinhardt.
I'm talking about the keyboard player.
Oh, the keyboard!
Oh, that Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
with the chords.
Yeah, and the guy in the band they had the top ramen hair guy.
Oh, right.
On vocals.
Oh, the broccoli hair.
The broccoli hair guy. Yeah,
The
yeah.
white guy couldn't drive 55. That
Yeah.
guy.
Well,
See-
later on, I understand he had difficulty driving 65.
I
Oh.
suspect
Yeah.
that this, unfortunately, to my dismay, has veered off of the path of we're just being silly
Yeah, it is. It
to
kind of
being
is.
disrespectful is what's happening here. And I am not there for it.
You're correct because I don't have any respect for the
Oh,
broccoli hit guy, but. No, but anyway, so off. Yeah, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, now I remember a guy that I know, my friend Ken, who's older than I, and we talk about stuff where our perspectives on things are about when we grew up and which generation we're in.
Yes.
He's a good 10 years older than I am, so all the stuff that I grew up loving, he thought sucked. Because because my warm bath time is the 70s, his was the 60s. So when the 70s stuff was coming around, he was hating it because the way I hated the 80s, or the way you hate the 90s, that kind of thing. And I remember him commenting about how Eddie Van Halen was the most soulless guitar player he ever heard. And on one hand, I understand where he's coming from, but on the other hand, I disagree, because Eddie Van Halen is bursting with soul in his guitar playing. It's just a different kind of soul.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yes,
I
it is.
completely agree with both. Yes.
Yes.
Coming from where he's coming from, different time, different.
Yeah. He's a Ramones, Iggy Pop guy, like he was a guy who was like into the Ramones like when the first album came out kind of guy. So Eddie Van Halen to him is just like Nicki Minaj is to me,
I see.
You know what I mean?
See.
But it's also how soul is defined, because I understand those bands and what he's saying, but to me that's not like, it's a rock and roll soul, it's not a soul.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much emotion in Eddie's playing.
But it's also, he's just so musical. I admit that this type of guitar playing does focus too much on technique for even my taste, but Eddie Van Halen transcends that, like, in his sleep, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he's the...
I get it.
Yeah. And number 4, possibly the opposite style guitarist, Jimmy Page.
Oh, Jimmy Page. Oh, Jimmy.
Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's even better than Ace Frehley.
Hard to believe.
Yeah.
Hard to believe.
Yeah, I mean, he's sloppy. He's the best sloppy guitar player I've ever heard in my life. Outside of Ace Frehley.
It's really interesting. A lot of people... Yeah, never mind. I'll get to it.
No, but I mean, you were talking... We were doing our Led Zeppelin album ranking video, and you were talking about, like, the sort of the crazy wicked voodoo involved in Physical Graffiti, the album.
Yes.
I feel like that's just Jimmy Page. His guitar playing is that.
Well, I remember seeing somebody say that they thought what was so exciting to them about Jimmy Page, watching and hearing him play, is you see and hear Jimmy wrestling with his guitar. And the entire time, you're quite convinced it's very likely the guitar might win and Jimmy might lose. So when Jimmy wins and the guitar loses, it's all the more impressive. And what they're basically trying to say is that there's an element of danger to Jimmy's playing, and at any moment it can and sometimes did go right off the rails, and it made it more exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, as the only person in the room who saw Led Zeppelin
I was going to say, I wonder when the I saw Led Zeppelin live.
Yeah, that was
part's
coming.
going to come up.
That is,
Yeah, that's what it was like in concert, right? Yeah,
because it seemed to me that they weren't too super concerned about sounding exactly like records, obviously.
They weren't at all concerned.
No, they're not remotely.
They didn't give a shit. Where a lot of people who were there were like, it doesn't sound like the record. Like, I've heard a million times for all kinds of artists. But yes, like him, having a one-on-one arm wrestle with the guitar, and especially the two-neck, and it's just like, what is happening right in front of me?
Well, that's the period that was, too, because a lot of those bands were doing it. The Who was doing that. They were going out and they were stretching out. They weren't replicating the records.
Nothing.
Like most bands on stage back then weren't.
And it was great to see. I mean, I love that shit. I don't want to hear the record because I can sit at home and listen to the record. I want to hear them stretch out. I want to hear a different solo. I want to hear a different 5 minutes of the bass and the drums, or the this or the that, and Robert Plant literally just like standing there while they all go at it, kind of thing. Yeah, it was that.
Robert Plant shaking his knee like he's Elvis.
Yeah.
It's what's interesting about the way Jimmy played, especially live, is you listen to those Zeppelin records and there's just a mountain of guitar overdubs, and he would call it his guitar army. And his guitar army. And people are like, well, why wouldn't they couldn't recreate that live? Well, they could never have gotten a second guitar player. There was no way in hell you could get a second guitarist to be in sync with what Jimmy was going to do at any given moment on that stage. It would have never worked.
I mean, it could have been interesting because if you think about the way the Stones operated, it would have been like that.
Yeah, but Jimmy would have had to have a level of discipline that Keith actually does have,
right?
And doesn't get credit for,
right? Page has the freedom to just do whatever he wants. In that situation, he has complete freedom to just do absolutely whatever he wants.
Yeah, Keith seems like a drunken madman shambling around the stage, but he's actually incredibly disciplined with what he's doing.
Yeah. So, Jimi Hendrix, Jimi Page, Jimi Hendrix, whatever.
Same dude.
They're all the same.
Same guy.
They all look
Wire
alike.
and
They all
I,
look
who
alike.
cares?
Yeah. All guitar playing Jimmys look alike to me. All right, number 3.
Wow. Man.
Fuck.
Paul McCartney.
What?
And again, take the order of this with a grain of salt. I'm really just mentioning my favorite guitar players.
Right.
But Paul McCartney. Now, a lot of people don't realize how much of the guitar playing is really him. If you go back to... basically, George Harrison is the lead guitar player of the Beatles. He's an okay lead guitar player. He's really just kind of like doing these Carl Perkins kind of things. He's not a progressive player. McCartney was a progressive player. Taxman, Revolver, no way George Harrison would have done that. That is McCartney. And that's very progressive guitar playing for 1966. And that's McCartney. And if you go into all some of the best guitar playing on Beatles records is actually him. Other than While My Guitar Gently Weeps. And George, he knew he had this song where it had to be about a really, really great guitar solo to really illustrate the subject matter of the song. He himself knew that he was not the guy to play on that fucking song.
Right. Yeah, he did.
It would have been really great if McCartney had played on it, but I do admit Eric Clapton might have been the guy for him to get for this because it worked out.
It
worked out.
It worked out.
And yeah. But I really love McCartney's playing. I just love it because I love how he's one of those guys. He doesn't really even have a style. His guitar playing is like his songwriting, like his singing, like his entire musicality. It's always different. He can do anything that he needs to do for the song or for whatever is at hand. And he's really good at it. He's not thought of as a guitar player because everybody thinks of him as a bassist, but he's a guitar player first.
Just like he's also not thought of as a drummer.
Or
but he plays.
Player,
Although, well, that's the thing. I guess I should point this out. I mean, I gave McCartney a vocal slot. I'm now giving him a guitar slot. I'll let you wonder what's going to happen with the bassist, but I'm not going to put him on the drummers because he can play drums. He's just not exceptional at it. He can play drums. He
can get through it for demos and shit.
Well, that's him on Band on the Run, the whole album. That's him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So he can play, but he's not exceptional. Like, he's not top 10 list drummer.
Yeah.
But for me, I put him on guitars because I really like his sound. And every time I hear that it's him playing, I'm like, damn, like I like what he does.
Yeah, I get it.
And I tend to like his lead playing more than whoever's lead in whatever band he's in, So, anyway, all right. So my top 2 are definitely going to be like, okay, where did these come from? My number 2, and again, I'm going to keep saying this because people are going to keep needing to say, take my order with a grain of salt. Peter Frampton.
Oh, Peter Frampton.
Peter Frampton, man. Peter Frampton is a great, he's a wildly underrated guitarist. And I think he flies under the radar because he isn't flashy. He just has a really pleasing feel. His playing is really lyrical and just has a really great flow to it. And if you pay attention, he has a very, very distinct, very recognizable sound. I just don't think people notice it because they're not... I don't think people listen to Frampton. Your average person listens to Frampton looking for guitar heroics. And he doesn't really go for extreme heroics, but if you go and listen to his stuff, there's so many videos of him playing even in recent years, where in particular there's a song called Lines on My Face, which is on Frampton Comes Alive, and there are recent videos of him playing that are just like, oh my god. It's just so... He's just really tasteful. He's just one of those guitar players that can kind of blow your mind without doing...
crazy.
Without doing tricks.
Yeah.
Without, going, look how fast I can play, or anything like that. He just has this natural, like, musicality to his playing that's just like, damn, okay. And I love it. And I like his tone, and Frampton.
I get it.
But what I have here listed as my number 1, and, again, take that with a grain of salt. It's just a list of guitar players I love. Terry Kath.
Oh.
From Chicago.
Killer.
Terry Kath. Now, again, with a guitar player that there are a lot of people who are really on Kath these days, but generally, your average person who's going to go Eddie Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix, Randy Rhoads, probably isn't going to say Terry Kath, because they're not really, because again, you don't go to Chicago records looking for
A guitar player.
exceptional guitar playing. That's not why you're listening to Chicago. Or at least most people. I think your average listener, that's not what they're in search of when they're going to Chicago records, and so they don't even notice it when it's there. But it's right in front of your face, really. I mean, 25 or 64,
Yeah.
But he's raw, he's soulful, he's equal parts substance and flash. He wasn't just wanking, he had to fit his playing into complex horn and chordal arrangements. He played lead and rhythms simultaneously and seamlessly, and he excelled at both. And Hendrix was a fan, as I think most people who've read up on him know this. In fact, he supposedly said to Walter Parazater, who was the saxophonist of Chicago, he said, "Your guitar player's better than me." And but of course, Hendrix was also very humble, so he would say something like that. But Keith is like, but I'm kind of reading, and I already said what I read here, and that he's easy to miss because he's the guitar player of Chicago, so of course you're going to miss him. But yeah, I think Terry Kath is easily one of my very, very favorite guitarists. I don't know if he's my number one, but he's easily one of my favorites. Yeah.
Nicely done, man.
Okay.
Nicely done.
I get it.
And go to the Live at Carnegie Hall record if you want to really hear some stretching out Terry Kath. On the first album, there's a track called
Freeform Guitar. Stay away from that.
I have no time for that.
That is absolute trash.
I have no time for that.
If you want to hate Terry Kath as a guitar player, listen to Freeform Guitar on that first record.
Don't listen. Yeah, if you're going into records going, I want to hear Terry Kath's guitar playing, you're going to see that title and go, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's not
don't
what
do
you
it.
think it is.
Don't do it.
It's him literally dragging his guitar around the floor of the studio from what I can tell.
Listen to
That's
fucking
good, dragging it around the floor.
listen to If You Leave Me Now before you listen to that. If you're looking for guitar playing.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm not downing that song. I absolutely worship that song. It's just not a guitar song.
Yeah, it's like they finished a take of a song, and then they were going to take a break to get like Chinese food, and he trips because his foot was wrapped up around the guitar cable, and he's dragging it on the way out the studio door, and no one wants to tell him. That's Freeform Guitar.
That's Freeform Guitar. So skip that one in your quest for some good Terry Kath. All right. Well, anyway.
In slow motion as he hits the floor.
Yep.
That's good. Wait a minute.
Sounds pretty good. Can I see the guitar?
You play?
I've been known to.
That's cool.
What's your name? It's on your guitar.
Since 1873. Original Coors, pure and simple.
Okay.
All right.
Turn off the AC.
Okay. All right, so we're back. The AC is going off. And now before, Tommy's about to go into his list, but before he goes into his list, I want to say something that we were just saying while you were watching some wonderful guitar player-related commercials. I don't know about these guys, but to once again talk about my list, my list is not objective. It is the guitarists that I love, that made an impact on me in certain ways, regardless of whether they're better. So there are people, and I'm saying this because there are people who are going to be watching this who don't know our channel, don't know how we roll, and they're going to be looking for us to do these are the best guitarists in this order.
Like people like
I'm not saying that these are the
Yeah.
best guitarists and that they're in that order. These are guitar players that I love, even though there may be others who are better. That's all.
And
scene. And with that, what has Tommy got? Tommy got.
What's Tommy got?
Okay, so I also approached this with the same mentality because I very quickly realized there's no way this could be an objective list. It's simply not possible. And I was like, this is as subjective as hell. It's what these guitar players mean to me, their music, when it hit me, at what age I was when I discovered them. A number of different factors that make this almost unfair to even make a list where we're ranking people. And in fact, it got so difficult for me that I was having trouble even putting them in order of 1 through 10. which is why, coming in at number 1, we have Randy Rhoads. Yes, Ozzy's first guitarist from his solo era. We've got Randy Rhoads. Obviously, the guy's an absolute legend.
At
I don't need to
number one?
say. Yes, at number 1.
Are you going backwards?
No, because also coming in at number 1, I've got Jakey Lee, the second solo Ozzy era guitarist.
The second
Jakey
number
Lee-
1 guitar player of Ozzy.
Jakey Lee does not get the credit he is due still to this day. He came into a nearly impossible situation. I think he made some incredible music with Ozzy before he very unceremoniously and unfairly got fired by Sharon via fax while he was working on one of his cars.
Yeah, facts.
Yes, Jakey Lee, fantastic monster of a guitar player. If you ever watch footage of Ozzy solo from that era, and Jake's out there ripping on Bark at the Moon, and like, my God, it's inhuman just watching this guy do what he can do. And coming up at number 1, we have John Sykes. Yes.
Wow, I'm psyched.
John Sykes. Yes.
I'm psyched.
Yeah, so John Sykes, if you don't know who John Sykes is the guy that...
He Sykes.
Well, he got his start in Tigers of Pantang, one of the new wave of British heavy metal bands, and quickly got snapped up by David Coverdale to join Whitesnake in '84. And John Sykes is the guy who's playing you hear all over the self-titled 1987 Whitesnake LP before he got dicked over by David Coverdale and sent packing, and he went on to start, I think, Blue Murder, and he also started singing too. My God, what a mark that dude made with just that one album. If he'd have done nothing else besides just the 87 solo Whitesnake album, people would still be talking to him about him to this day. Incredible monster player. And it's also basically a master class in that it's more than just insane shredding. It's also monstrous rhythm playing too. And that record is filled with it. And you really need to come to the table with both. Now, coming in at number 1, I have a 3-way tie.
He said 3-way.
I have a 3-way tie, and you'll understand why. It's Steve Lukather, Dan Huff, and Michael Landau. Why did I have these 3 guys tied together at number 1?
Why?
I'll tell you why. These guys are on every single record from basically the late 70s all throughout the 80s. You don't even realize they're on there. They're on there. Basically, every big pop hit, it's going to be one of those 3 guys. Guest guitar spots on rock records, it's going to be one of those guys. Steve Lukather is on Beat It. He's on everything along with the rest of the guys from Toto. Just all over the music that I love. It's one of those 3 guys.
They are
the session guy. They are literally the sound of the late 70s all through the 80s for pop and rock.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Coming in at number 1, we've got Elliot Easton.
Oh, Elliot Easton.
Oh, you weren't expecting this one, were you?
I was not.
No, I was.
Yes, yeah. Elliot Easton, another criminally underrated guitar player. This dude plays exactly what the song requires and not one note more. And he always knows exactly what that is.
Yes, he's kind of the perfect pop rock guitar player in that he plays for the song and for the song only, not for the...
Nope.
Yeah.
But he could do the...
Yeah.
If he needs to. But he only does it when it's called for.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 1, we've got Tom Schultz. Yes,
wow,
Tom
who knew he'd be at number 1?
Tom Schultz, yes.
Who could be number 1?
Killing these guys right now.
It's because we're so funny.
I'm liking it.
No, it is funny.
Yeah, Tom Schultz. What can I say about Tom Schultz? You've heard me gush on and on and on about Boston before. Boston is Tom Schultz and Brad Delp. My God, what he managed to mastermind on that first Boston record. Holy crap. Just absolutely revolutionized, completely changed the way people were going to approach rock guitar playing going forward. Until 2 years later, Eddie Van Halen showed up and was like, hey, so he's talking about revolutionizing guitar playing? Is it too late? Hold my beer.
Literally hold my beer.
Coming in at number 1, we've got Warren DeMartini from Rat.
Oh my God.
Now, Rat, the band, is an acquired taste. And I have semi-acquired the taste. To this day, I still am not 100% all in on Rat. Some of their material is a little bit mid. Sometimes they can be grating. Sometimes they're just crap. There were 2 guitar players in Rat. Warren and Robin Crosby. Now, Robin, we lost. He died years ago of AIDS. But if we're being real, Warren was the heart and soul of this band as far as guitar playing goes.
Right.
Warren is a wizard on 6 strings. Unbelievable guitar player. And another absolute monster player in that not only can he do all the crazy, fancy, theatrical shred licks, but his rhythm playing is also incredible. And we're going to come back again to that soon. But first, we have coming in at number 1, George Lynch from Dokken.
Ow!
George Lynch. So,
Dokken.
Dokken, I saw somebody describe Dokken once as the Honda Accord of 80s metal.
The Honda Accord of 80s metal.
In that there's really nothing special about a Honda Accord.
But it will get you there.
It can reliably do what you need it to do.
It's not going to break down on you.
Right. You're not taking it to a car show, though.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
But it gets you where you need to go.
But George Lynch, though. George Lynch is a guitar player that was 10 times better than the band that he was in. And really, after the first 1 or 2 Dokken records, if he were so inclined, at the height of the 80s metal era, he could have jumped ship and probably just gotten an open invitation to literally any damn band he wanted.
He had formed his own band and called it Lynch Mob.
He did that, and his timing was impeccable. When did that first Lynch Mob record come out? In the early 90s? No problems there.
Well, hey, I mean, there was another Lynch Mob in hip-hop, so...
Yeah.
That was the Lynch Mob, though.
The Lynch,
Yeah. You know, George, at one point in recent years, expressed remorse about having used that name. He obviously named it because it was a clever play on his name. Yeah. But, you know, he came to realize in later years that there was
I think
bad connotation.
I think when you're a white guy, you don't even think of that.
You don't.
You
it probably didn't even enter his mind.
No,
you don't.
why would it?
Yeah.
You don't.
It doesn't. And I admire him for doing that, because I'm here to tell you, as a part of the Black American contingent, nobody ever heard of that. No black people.
Nobody even heard of the damn band anyway.
They weren't listening. They
weren't listening to Lynch Mob.
Not at all.
He seems to be a pretty decent dude in that, as far as, you know, being a moral person. There was an incident not too long ago where he had teamed up with Peavey to do a signature amp, and it didn't end up working out for one reason or other. That often happens. He jumps around from amp company to amp company. But at one point he was giving an interview, I think it might have been back in 2018 or so, and somebody asked him, whatever happened with that signature amp you were working on? Because then you left and they put it out as some other model. He was like, yeah, we didn't see eye to eye, and I also found out at one point that they were using prison labor to manufacture some of their stuff. And he's like, I just couldn't agree with that. That was just horrible, and I couldn't have any association with them.
Good for you.
And Peavey was pissed
that he
about
spilled
this.
That tea. Yeah.
Pissed. I mean, like, lawyers were apparently involved. But he never walked it back.
If he was telling the truth, what are they going to do?
And Hartley Peavey was asked about that at one point, and he was like dismissing. No, it's absolutely ridiculous. We looked into it at one point, but we decided not to. I was like, wait, whoa! You looked into it?
Yeah, get out of here.
You looked into
Fuck
it.
out of here.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You
well, then you're obviously totally innocent then.
Yes. Yeah.
It wasn't a prison, a Supermax in Arizona.
No, we looked into it. It wasn't going to save us as much money as we wanted, so we didn't do it.
Yeah.
Who am I to believe?
Well, that's honorable.
Let's see. Do I believe George Lynch, or do I believe Hartley Peavey, who promised that he was never going to move his company's production to China, and then 6 months later fired everyone and moved his company's production to China? Anyway.
Ouch.
Coming in at number 1, we've got Vito Bratta from White Lion. Oh my God, Vito Bratta is the answer I give when anyone ever asks me if you could play guitar like any famous guitar player.
He's the
Vito
one.
Bratta, and he got knocked a lot in his day because people were like, oh, he's an Eddie clone. He's not an Eddie clone. He's not an Eddie clone. He came out of an era where everyone was trying to be a bit of an Eddie clone to a degree. But Vito's playing had this insane alien kind of liquidity and fluidity to it, and just, it was like from another world. It was so melodic while also being incredibly technical. God, I love his playing. Just everything he ever laid down is just monstrous. But in spite of all of that,
you're number 1.
Coming in at number 1.
Oh shit, we've been waiting for
is Eddie Van Halen.
Oh, okay.
Eddie Van Halen, and I've been kind of teasing up along the way when we get here, like that mix. What makes an incredible guitar player is that mix of incredible lead chops that you know when to use and when not to use, combined with incredible rhythm playing, soulful rhythm playing that really serves the song. And you hear in later years now, more and more people are taking note of Eddie as a rhythm guitarist, because he was really an incredible rhythm guitarist too.
Yeah.
And considered himself in some ways a rhythm guitarist and a songwriter, more so than he considered himself a lead guitar player.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not much more I could say about Eddie Van Halen that you don't already know and hasn't already been said. Just absolute monster.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
I agree.
And that's me.
That was a hell of a top 1 list.
Oh yeah.
I like
yeah. It's like all one of those were.
all one of them were
All one of them, yeah.
fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah.
Every last one of them.
Especially that tie at
That
number 1.
tie
Oh, that one.
I had,
Wow.
and then I had number 1
At
above number 1. Like, who does that?
You know, I thought you were crazy.
But that's
crazy
why this
talk.
is subjective.
Yeah.
Well,
Wild.
Like, how am I going to put Elliot Easton at number 1 when I only have George Lynch at number 1? You know what I mean?
That's a tough choice.
well, all right, everyone. It is time for a break.
One.
Guitar Center's Memorial Day weekend sale is absolutely gigantic. 4 days of gargantuan store-wide savings. Plug into colossal price cuts on closeouts, demos, open box items, and brand new gear. Like this BC Rich Electric List 320, now only $99. Or this Yamaha digital recorder, List $499, now just $79. This Yamaha acoustic was $349, now just $99. Or 10 pairs of sticks, just $9. Plus, pick up your copy of Slash's new solo album. Hurry, Guitar Center's giant savings end Monday night. Guitar Center, in-store or online.
But all right.
Oh, we're back.
Woo-wee!
Chris has got a list.
I got Liv.
Yeah, Liz.
Oh, no you don't. No you don't.
Chris, do you have a list?
I do have a list. I have a top 10 list.
Give us your list.
I'll give you my list. But first I want to say I'm doing this under protest.
Oh,
for
no.
fuck's sake.
Again, yes. No, because I actually did bring it up in the thread, like, only 10? Can we... That's fine. So here are my runners-up. Did
God.
you guys have runners-up? You had
I had
runners-up.
You had 3. There's a reason we specifically limit you to a certain number of
I know.
entries.
And this is my way of getting around it. All right, here are my runners-up. And it might sound crazy to people. I don't know.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. I don't care. All right, and in no particular order. It's a long list. Keith Richards, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Frank Zappa, Vernon Reid, Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen's my runner-up list. Roy Clark, Charo.
Oh, yeah.
Charo is
Yeah, I
not
was
to
gonna
be
mention
fucked
her.
with.
Actually, well,
She is an incredible...
Charles
well, okay,
legit.
I have to cut in because this is where I was going to say this in the episode, and I guess I forgot, and this is a good time for me to cut in. Around 85, I was at my grandparents' house, and I was sitting at the kitchen table with my grandpa, and somehow Yngwie Malmsteen came
on.
And I'm telling him how great Yngwie Malmsteen. I think I was listening to Yngwie Malmsteen on my Sony Walkman or something. I was telling him about this great guitar player, how great he is, and I'm telling him all about him, and my grandpa's just like shaking his head. No. Mm-mm. He just looks at me. He goes, no. Charo. He goes, Charo. That's the guitar player, and I'm sitting there 15 with my Yngwie Malmsteen going,
Like, what?
God, what the fuck's he talking about? He doesn't know anything about it. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, I found out.
Yeah.
I found out.
Found out.
Yep.
You fucked around and
You found out.
I found out.
yeah. Charo, don't sleep on her. She's amazing. John Frusciante, Robbie Seahag Mangiano. Our friend Robbie. He is an incredible guitar player. Carlos Santana, Jack White, Brittany Howard, Neil Young, David Byrne, Albert King, Leslie West, C.C. DeVille, who we talked about before in the past, Steve Vai, my cousin Kevin Eubanks, David Williams, who was on Billie Jean and Dirty Diana and Stand Back and a million other pop tunes that we talked about already. Muscles, he played with Michael Jackson. He toured with Madonna, worked with
Muscles.
Chaka Khan and Kenny Loggins. He's incredible, that dude. Steve Cropper, Lindsey Buckingham, Jeff Beck, Elliot Easton, Billy Gibbons, Les Paul, Rory Gallagher, Django Reinhardt, who is missing 2 fingers on his left hand. 2.
What's your excuse?
What's your excuse, Jerry Garcia? Randy Rhoads, Andy Summers, Ricky Wilson from the B-52s.
Yo.
Woefully underrated guitar player.
Truth.
Ricky Wilson is great. Emilio Paredes. Are you guys familiar with him?
No.
So he's an Afro-Caribbean guitar player, primarily on a lot of bachata music. And the album that the song you should pay attention to is No Me Olidevez. He's really great. And I'm not a huge fan of bachata music, but some of it can be really great, and you need to pay attention to him. Emilio Paredes. Doug Gillard, Terry Kath, Barbara motherfucking Lynn. If you don't know who Barbara Lynn is, I got a problem with you. So at 16 years old, that song she wrote about her boyfriend, if you should lose me, you lose a good thing. Incredible. From the ass end of Texas, nowhere Texas. She set her poems to music. She taught herself how to play with her left hand, right-handed guitar. And You'll Lose a Good Thing is a great song. Number 1 in 1962. First song in 60 years career that she played. And she's been covered by the Rolling Stones, Aretha Franklin, Otis Redding, and Robert Plant. Sampled by the Beastie Boys and Moby. Incredible, Barbara Lynn. And she had a really great voice, too, Barbara Lynn. She was awesome. Marv Tarplin. You know Marv Tarplin? Mm-hmm. Marv Tarplin was from Atlanta, Detroit-based. He played with Smokey Robinson and the Miracles.
Oh.
Okay.
The Miracles guy.
The Miracles guy.
The Miracle Man.
And, he was their guitar player in the 60s. Played all over Motown. The chords Go Into a Go-Go, that was him. 12-string acoustic on You Really Got a Hold on Me. Fucking A. He played on Harry Belafonte's Deo, the Banana Boat song. And he wrote all the parts for Tracks of My Tears, which is one of my all-time favorite songs. It's one of the most beautiful songs ever, the music. Continued to work with Smokey Robinson after the Miracles split. He played on Cruisin' and Tracks of My Tears. Yeah, those are the 2 big things you need to listen to.
And we're not talking about the Beach Boys cruising.
No. I love it when we're cruising together.
When we're cruising and boozing together.
Music goes my way. So great. All right, so here's my top 10 list.
You had 36 runners-up.
I know.
In the entire history of each runner-up.
Thank you. Coming in at number 1. No, I'm kidding. Coming in at number 10.
It's nothing but number 10s?
Yeah, I'm starting with 10. Is Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page.
Yep.
Yeah, Jimmy Page. Coming in at number 9, I have a tie.
Oh!
I got a tie. And that's between B.B. King and Ernie Isley.
Oh,
Ernie Isley is one of the most underrated guitar players in music history. Their cover of Summer Breeze. What the fuck? Ernie Isley smokes people. Smokes. And if you've never heard that cover, just listen to that and I don't even know what to tell you. Number 8, I have Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
I was...
How could I not?
I was going to say there's no fucking way
that I was
she's
not going to have her on my list.
I knew she was
Had to have
I
her
get
on
to
my
say
list.
it. I knew it.
I mean, come on. That's easy. That's easy.
I mean, no, but honestly, also to be real, she should be on everybody's fucking list. She wasn't even on mine, but she should have been.
Yeah. She's an OG.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Look at old videos of her. And Brittany Howard played her in one of those terrible movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I forget what movie it was, but she played her and crushed it. Yeah. Number 7, let's see, who do I have? Oh yes, number 7, I have Eddie Hazel. Another woefully underrated guitarist. Oof. People talk about the Grateful Dead and all their noodly shit. Eddie Hazel buries Jerry Garcia. I'm sorry. Maggot Brain? Oof. What the fuck? man. What the fuck?
Maggot Brain is what Freeform Guitar wished it was.
That's what that should have been.
Yes.
And the thing that sucks, not to take this off rails, but not that he wasn't capable of doing that. I just wish he had chosen to do that.
And
But
he didn't.
Yeah.
But Maggot Brain, though.
Yeah.
Maggot Brain.
Yeah.
Eddie Hazel, any 60s psychedelic stuff that you talk about, but I can't tell you, I've been in countless arguments with white guys about Eddie Hazel.
Yeah?
Yes.
What the hell's there to argue about?
Well, first of all, they didn't know who he was. And then they're like, oh, Jerry Garcia is the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, bitch. Eddie Hazel. Eddie Hazel. The end. Number 6, I have Wes Montgomery. Wes Montgomery. Incredible guitar player. Whew.
The king of the octaves.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Just... Fuck you if you don't know who he is. Listen to his greatest hits or something. What the hell is your problem? All right, coming in at number 5, I have another tie.
Uh-oh.
I got another tie. And that's between Wendy Melvoin and her. Now, people on the whole, don't take women musicians seriously, no matter what you're playing, triangle or guitar. And a lot of people, I've gotten into countless arguments about Wendy Melvoin and her guitar playing. I'm sorry, but she had to keep up with Prince.
Well, that's the thing. That, you know, basically, Prince could have had anybody he wanted in his band, and his
her.
Whatever his thing is with covers, when it came to music, he wasn't fucking around.
No.
If he would not have had her in his band if she couldn't fucking play.
do it.
Well, she
Yeah.
gets a raw deal for 2 reasons. Number 1, she wasn't a shredder, and she came out at an age of shredding.
Yeah.
And number 2, she got a raw deal because she was a female musician, and
Yeah.
she was not taken as seriously as she should. But she's a hell of a fucking kick-ass funk guitarist,
She's
and
a
that's no
great
mean
guitar
feat in and
player.
of itself.
And not even just funk. Wendy and Lisa's stuff, their music soundtracks, their orchestral things, both of them are great. But Wendy Melvoin don't sleep on her. She will fuck you
your shit up.
She will fuck your shit up. She is really great, and I'm very sorry that I'm the oldest person here and saw more people live than these guys have. But I saw Wendy and Lisa 2-3 times, and she killed. So great, so incredible live. And her, if you don't know who she is, young black woman, she's a really great guitar player, and is the first black woman to have a signature Strat named after her. Prince kind of like plucked her out from obscurity a little bit. They used to play a lot together. He respected her as a guitar player, talked about her a lot. She's great. She's great and woefully underrated.
Well, she was also dealing with one tiny little thing, and that is being in the shadow of Prince himself on that stage.
Right, that's true.
You
but
know.
her solo shit, she's really, really great. Really great. Yeah, she's awesome. Coming in at number 4, I have David Gilmour.
Oh, yeah.
David Gilmour.
Yep. Cosign.
I mean, come on. David Gilmour.
Oh, we know.
That's all I have to say.
We know.
David Gilmour. Coming in at number 3, I have Pete Townsend.
I was toying with whether or not I wanted to put him on my list.
Yeah, people, I feel as though, and we've had this discussion before, that a lot of people don't like The Who, or they think that they will put them in very specific myopic spaces. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you know, my generation. Oh yeah, you know, this and that, like from their early period. But I don't think that they've really actually listened to Pete's guitar playing, like in and of itself. Even with his solo stuff, he's a really incredible guitar player. And to keep up with fucking Keith Moon and John Entwistle,
well,
you know, and again, like seeing him live, transcendus.
Well, I think the thing about Pete Townsend is that he's not really much of a lead guitar player, so I think he doesn't get the credit because of that.
Yeah.
He's just a really incredible rhythm player,
guitar
and
player.
he's the only rhythm player in that band.
Right.
The band would
true.
Yeah.
The band would completely fall apart if it wasn't
Without
for
him. Yeah.
You know.
Fucking fantastic. Love Pete Townsend. And just somebody who is so incredibly prolific. So much music he's written. I personally feel like he's on par with Paul McCartney as amount of songs and good stuff. How do you think of these things? Like, Paul is famous for, you know, I woke up in the middle of the night and I drank a glass of juice and I wrote 15 songs because he's Paul McCartney. He lives, eats, and shits music 24/7. He can't not write music. That's Paul McCartney. That's how his brain works. I feel as though Pete Townsend is the same, just different level. I'm not saying better, I'm not saying worse, just a different level. Especially to have things that you've been working on for like 35, 40 years before you finally got it finished, which is for a myriad of reasons why you didn't. The Wire, Endless Wire, which I don't really like. But I feel as though he's kind of underrated. Number 2, I have Brian May. We already talked about him.
Yep.
And my number 1 is also a tie. I have 3 ties here. My number 1 is a tie between Prince and Curtis Mayfield. And Curtis Mayfield for the reasons that Paul already stated. And Prince at number 1, I feel it's deserved because Prince could play anything and be incredible at it. I don't care what you say. I've seen that guy play country and western songs. I've seen that guy play progressive jazz, his own shit, play for Chaka Khan, play for Patti LaBelle, play for whomever. He was just all around an incredible guitar player, aside from his own shit. Really, really, just, to me, he's the best of all time, hands down. And I feel as though a lot of white guys, again, I'm constantly arguing with a lot of them because, Prince, Purple Rain, that's all he did, blah. And then when did they come around? When he melted faces at the George Harrison tribute at the Rock and Roll.
Which honestly, I think is a little bit of an overrated performance. I mean, it's great, but people talk about it like it's the greatest performance ever.
But you know why they talk about it? It's the greatest performance ever? Because they can't believe a black man could do that. That's why.
Well, no, I think it's not just that. I think, in fairness, I think a lot of people just didn't realize Prince had that talent.
And you know why? Because the majority of them only know Purple Rain and nothing else. That's what they're basing his whole lifespan on, is Purple Rain. I've had these discussions ad infinitum with a lot of people that you both know. Really? Including a lot of people you both know. And I'm just like, what do you mean? You didn't think that he could do that? Are you kidding me? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I mean, any actual Prince fans saw that performance and was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, of course they let him take the solo.
Right, and that's why it's overrated, because a majority of the people who think it's the best thing, when you look at it on YouTube, best guitar solo ever in the whole wide world, in the solar system, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing. Is it the best ever? I don't know.
I don't even think it's the best Prince guitar solo.
Guitar solo, yeah.
I think Prince has done better guitar solos than that.
But it's elevated by a lot of white folks who have been very dismissive of him and his career. That's why. Black folks aren't saying it's the best thing ever, who know him. It's all white folks.
Because they've seen him play like that.
Who don't really know. Yeah. So that's why I think that he is the best. And with Curtis, with his tuning and all that stuff, yeah. That's my list.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I got a whole list of commercials coming. Your way.
My fingers and I do this to make a living. We're too busy to do taxes.
I love doing taxes for self-employed people. You can hand those off to me.
Yeah, but can I hand them off without using my hands?
We can arrange that. You do your thing. We've got your taxes. Intuit, TurboTax Live.
Oh, boy.
That's right, we're back.
Uh-oh, it's the bad.
We got some guitar players that we don't like very much.
Well, you were going to do something special before we do the hate list, though.
That's right. Well, you know, just a tiny little thing. I just want to mention, we're gonna each mention an overrated guitar player before we check our worst. And mine is really simple. You may have even seen this coming.
I know what's coming.
There have been breadcrumbs throughout the whole series of videos we've made.
Yeah.
Eric Clapton.
I knew it. I friggin' knew it.
Eric Clapton.
I knew that's who you were gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting to blow anybody's mind with this. I just had to say it.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't think he's a bad guitar player.
No, he's a good guitar
player. And again, back to what I said about While My Guitar Gently Weeps, I think he fucking completely nailed that song. He did what needed to be done on that. I don't dislike everything he's ever done. I just think he's really overrated. I don't think he's anywhere near as great as people make him out to be.
He's not
kind
God.
of in the broad sense, like generally speaking, he's kind of average. I feel like just a blues guitar player who's good at it.
I think he's really still mostly. Sorry, excuse me. Edit.
Gazoon.
I think he's mostly worshipped at this point by like the tan pants crowd. You know, the blues lawyers.
Not the Jag
Blues
Pants.
Lawyers.
Basically,
That's a good band name.
It's
the Blues Lawyers.
people that it's the people that are buying those $10,000 Gibson custom shop bullshits.
Yes, that they
and
don't
locking
play.
them away in a glass case.
Yeah.
because they need the absolute best. Obviously, that's who's still swinging
Yeah.
from the Clapton sack at this point. I think.
You know,
Clapton Sack. That's
Yeah.
another good band name.
Clapton with a Strat, dressed like he's his own accountant. No, thank you.
No.
Dressed like his own accountant.
Yeah,
No.
fucking khaki pants and like up there having the blues.
Clapton really made I think the biggest name for himself when he was playing a Gibson through an irresponsibly loud stack of amps. I think that's
the Cream days. I'm here for the Cream stuff, but after that, anyway. So now for my worst ofs.
It's the worst.
Now this is kind of a little. This is low hanging. This is low hanging fruit, and it's punching down.
Punch.
Do it.
Johnny Depp.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I mean, this like I said, it was almost pointless to put him on here, but I just felt like I wanted another name, and I thought, and he's not that bad. He's just basically, look, let's be real here. Exactly that guitar player playing exactly the way he plays without the name. He's not an actor. He's just you or me.
Dude.
That motherfucker would not be on stage with Alice Cooper.
No.
He wouldn't be up there with Joe Perry.
Anybody.
He just wouldn't.
He wouldn't. He'd be in his bedroom making YouTube videos. That's what he'd be doing. Terrible.
Now, I don't dislike the guy, and I don't think his guitar playing is bad. I just think, I think he slept his way to the top.
I think people shit on his playing unfairly only because he's famous. And I guess that they now hold him to some absurd standard, but probably because of the fact that he's famous and he's managed to get on stage with these people, they're expecting much more from him. He's a perfectly competent guitarist.
He's not bad.
But would he have gotten there if he wasn't Johnny Depp? Obviously,
but I do feel like he's very competent bedroom guitarist level. You know what I mean? Not like world class stages of the world guitar player. And yeah, it almost was pointless for me to put him on this list. So let me just move on, because I have a tie. Two guitar players that go together. J.J. French and Eddie Ojeda.
Oh.
J.J. French and Eddie Ojeda. I am a big Twisted Sister fan. I am an SMF, but I don't think those guys are really that good.
Nope.
I think what's great about Twisted Sister is the band. All those guys come together and they do something really great as a band. When either of those guys come up to solo, it's just like, I think their tone is terrible. The playing is okay. And again, I repeat, I am a Twisted Sister fan.
Twisted Sister fan, yeah.
But I never thought the guitar playing really rated in that band. It just works in context with the overall band, because the overall band absolutely annihilates live.
Take them out of that band.
Yeah. I'm taking
Tommy
you disagree.
disagrees.
I don't have them on my favorites list, but I think that you're being very unfair, and to put them on a worst of list, I think is extremely unfair.
I never liked their playing. Like, it's hard. It's such a weird line that I'm
Drawing.
balancing on here, because I really have never liked them as guitar players, yet I really love their band, and I don't know really how to.
I understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like without the rest of them, but together they make this amazing thing.
Yeah, I mean, if
there are lots of
those
bands
guys,
like
if
that.
either of those guys was Ozzy's guitar player, come on, really?
Well, JJ wouldn't get the Aussie gig.
No, he would not.
Eddie would stand a chance because he's got the chops for it. But I don't.
Yeah.
But obviously Eddie is no Jake. Eddie's no Randy. Eddie's no Zach. But I don't know. It's your list. I just think you're being unfair.
Well, okay. How about this one then? The Edge. He's not a terrible guitar player. I don't think he's a bad guitar player. And one thing about him is that I do give him credit for having a very distinct style. But I feel like that's all. He just has this one sound, and I don't like that sound.
Let me ask you this.
And that's just it. I have to say, this isn't me thinking he's a terrible guitar player. I don't like his playing. I don't like the sound of it.
I totally get it. But let me ask you this, as both of you being guitar players.
I'm not a lead guitar player.
But you're both guitar players. I'm not a guitar player. I can play guitar, but I'm not a guitar player. You're both guitar players. So, is it more about his, like, Star Trek rig that he has set up all the fucking time? Because if he just went up there like in the olden days, at the beginning of their career, their first tour, where he just plugged into a Marshall stack, and that was that. But those songs were very different. Then as the career goes on, it's more this, it's more that. What do you think about that?
Oh, would you want to go first?
Or it doesn't matter. You just don't like it.
I just don't like his playing. I mean, I mainly don't like that later tone. That's a far bigger issue, and perhaps going to really early stuff, I might like it more. Because
going to see U2, I didn't go for the guitar playing.
Nobody did. I mean, well, people liked him, but people went because they liked the band.
I wanted to see the band.
There weren't Guitar Hero people.
Yeah.
There weren't like Eddie Van Halen dudes going, fuck
this.
Yeah.
It was a time and a place, and it was very different.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tony?
Okay, so you often hear people shitting on the Edge specifically because of, without all of his effects, without his rig, he's
Can't
nothing.
do anything.
Okay, I'm calling bullshit on that. Okay, I play quite a lot, and I am serious about guitar gear. Okay, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I do know my shit when it comes to setting up a fucking rig, especially setting up rack gear and all that stuff. It's kind of what I'm into. What the Edge is doing, okay, and I'm putting words in the guy's mouth, but this is how it hits me. The Edge, I think, made a conscious decision to incorporate technology as it was coming out into his playing and explore just how far he could push the guitar sonically. People, they talk about his Star Trek rig. He had a couple of TC 2290 delay units that were a key part of his tone, of his sound. But you need to be very disciplined and tight as a player to play with that much delay and have everything sync up properly and not sound like a big washed out nightmarish mess. And he accomplished that absolutely beautifully and consistently.
I think so.
And I think it's just unfair because people are then like, he's nothing without his effects. That's not the point. It's not the point of what the Edge is trying to do. He's doing this intentionally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, which brings me back around to my thoughts on it. My big things aren't even his effects. I just don't like the sound of what he does. I don't like the style. I don't think he's an incompetent player. I don't think he's a bad player. I don't like his playing. It's like,
you just don't like it.
Yeah, like we were talking about with singers. That like people who can sing really well, I just don't like the way they sound.
Yeah.
Well, if you just don't like his playing, then
I don't like his playing. I don't
think,
and that's the other thing. That brings us back to like what I was talking about earlier. It's just not an objective thing. I'm not really necessarily calling him a bad guitar player. I just don't like it.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And also, to be honest, I had a tough time really finding people for this list.
Me too.
And
sort of.
So a lot of this stuff is just me kind of like going, okay, well, all right, well, I guess I'll put that person down,
Yeah.
But this one is a little okay. This is a weird one because this one actually is based on seeing them play live, and I'm a fan of Chris Stein from Blondie.
Oh.
Now I have to explain this. I like Blondie. The records are good. But when I saw Blondie 15 years ago or something at the High Line, and Chris was still in the band at the time, and I was flabbergasted. I was just like stunned. He was the worst guitar player I'd ever seen on a professional concert stage.
Seriously?
I could not believe it. I didn't want to think that. And the show went like this. It started out wherever it was, and it went like this.
Oh.
Like, they came out and they opened up with Union City Blue, which was fucking great. I love that song.
Love that song.
I was like, oh man, this is gonna be so good. And it just went. I know you don't like Rapture. Oh man, it was. Oh my god, Rapture was. You would have liked Rapture a whole lot less if you'd seen it that night. Oh man, that was a train wreck. But yeah, I love Blondie. And I really don't want to say this about Chris Stein, but if I really honestly walked out of there going, wow, I didn't know.
How long ago was this?
Yeah, 15 years ago. I mean, now that's the only time I've seen Blondie. Maybe it was a bad night. Maybe the next night he fucking blew people out of the place. I don't know. Maybe he was sick. I don't know. That night, what I saw was really just like, holy shit.
As the geezer who saw them in their heyday, got no problems with them. But
have you seen them on more recent tours?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe 20 years ago I saw them, 25 years ago, but not less than that.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
shit happens.
I mean, I'll say this: he's not in the band now.
No, he's not.
No, he's
Andy Blacksugar.
Andy Blacksugar.
Our friend Andy is in the band. Yeah.
So there's that. Anyway, all right, let me move on. But on to my absolute worst guitar player.
Coming in at number one.
Coming in number one. Ace Frehley. See now, yes. my Ace Frehley thing is complicated. Act.
Oh god.
So discovering Kiss when I was 6, that is the band that sort of introduced me to hard rock guitar, or to hard rock music. Really, the hard rock stylings, and guitar heroism. He's really was my first guitar hero of my entire life, because I loved the Beatles before that, but that wasn't about guitar heroism. That wasn't hard rock. This was a whole other thing.
Different.
And so there's so much that I love about what he did, but it was a time and it was a place. It was like I was talking about Elton John. I love his voice, but during this period.
Yeah.
You were talking about so many vocals that you liked during a certain period. I don't remember.
Sebastian Bach.
Oh right, yeah.
Ace Frehley, his playing and what he did in the 70s will always just be really, in my heart. It's a warm bath to me. I really love it. Was it technically great? Fuck no. Did it serve that music? Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Nobody else's guitar playing. I don't care. Dick Wagner, fucking Kulick, fuck all those guys, because these guys are better guitar players, but they're playing over 70s Kiss records, and that's not the guitar playing that you want over those records. A clunky ass fucking rock roll over track. Yeah, yes. I want Ace Frehley teetering on the edge of fucking completely losing it. That's exactly what I want on that record.
Teetering on the edge.
Because you're talking about Jimmy Page. Ace Frehley's the king of that. The only difference is that Jimmy never actually falls off.
Yeah, Ace often lost.
Ace, yeah.
Usually
he
the guitar
lost that
won.
war. Yeah.
Now, the biggest reason why I put him on my worst of list is because after the 70s, any magic that I experienced in the 70s with his playing was gone, and now,
ooh,
what I just talked about seeing Chris Stein, well. Ace is way worse than that. Way worse. I mean, if you guys have seen any videos of him now,
oh yeah,
it is sad. Absolutely just.
It's sad.
Abominable.
Yeah, it really is.
He doesn't give a fuck It isn't even. Yeah, he just doesn't give a fuck. He
doesn't care.
He doesn't have the most talent in the world, and clearly he doesn't practice. And above all of that, he just does not give a flying fuck because he knows that the money's going to roll in. He knows he can go up there and half-ass play, maybe kind of play, have a backing band completely carry his ass, kind of sing the songs, kind of not, kind of hit the note, kind of not. And everybody's going to throw money at him.
Yeah.
He learned that from Paul and Gene. You just,
just get up there.
And he knows that he can just go out there and get completely away with it scot-free.
Yeah.
And I think he believes his own, it isn't even just, and I don't even think it's even that. I think he believes his own bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think
does.
I think he thinks he's killing it up there.
He probably
Definitely.
does.
He
Yeah.
thinks he does.
I think he thinks he's blown minds up there. And he's just, yeah.
Corey Feldman learned a lot from him.
Yeah. It really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this the 70s, that specific time, those specific records, there's a certain magic that frankly he stumbled ass first into. I'm not even going to give him credit for masterminding it. I honestly think he was lucky, but I just think the planets aligned to make these sounds that I just really love.
Oh yeah.
And
I get it.
he cannot do that now to save his fucking life.
No,
I
he can't.
understand.
So yeah, so there you go. That's my that's my thing.
Okay. Over to me then?
Yeah,
over to Tommy.
Over to you.
All right. Well, I also have a most overrated. Before I even get to my most overrated, I've got a special category called the Special Fuck You Award to the wanton destruction of guitars on stage. Now, this is not necessarily an attack on the following guitarists as players, but
Well, we know what the names
These
are. We
are,
already know what the
yeah.
Pete
names are.
Townsend, Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, Paul Stanley. The list goes on and on and on.
Phoebe Bridgers, who invented it.
Now, okay. Okay. Like when you look at footage of like Townsend and Hendrix destroying shit back in the day, you're like, oh my god, what did they destroy? Well, at that point in time, they were just brand new guitars. Okay.
Right.
The problem I have with this is it's wasteful. It's wasteful and it's fucking insulting. You're telling me there isn't some broke-ass kid out there you couldn't have just given that guitar to for free?
It's a bit arrogant.
I've said this before, and people look at me, that's not the point of it. It fucking is the point of it. It is the point of it. You are destroying musical instruments.
It's privilege.
It's privilege, and
privilege.
it's obnoxious, and like you're saying, it is fucking
it's
arrogant. You could give that to somebody who has nothing, and spread music throughout the world.
They could get it fixed and give it to somebody.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
now
yeah.
I will give you that for Pete Townsend, but I'm actually going to the leap to the defense of Paul Stanley here. He actually had a whole arsenal of guitars that were
Yes.
that weren't really
Destruction
full.
of-
I don't even
They
think
cut the
they
neck
didn't have all,
halfway and everything.
Yeah, they were kind of dummy guitars.
But
He wasn't breaking real guitars.
It's money that could have still been put elsewhere, and just you're doing the whole theatrical thing of look at me destroying musical instruments. I just don't like it. I don't fucking like it. I don't like seeing footage of Richie Blackmore throwing his 4x12s in the crowd or putting his headstock through the fucking speakers. I don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing Keith Moon destroying his drum set. I don't like seeing it. It is wanton, arrogant destruction, and I don't actually like it. It's one of the elements of rock and roll that has become iconic that I actually do disagree with. I've never fucking thought that was cool. Even just the illusion of it, like what Paul Stanley has been doing in later years. And that wasn't always an illusion.
No, he started out doing it for real, but then it was like Paul and Gene went, "Oh shit, this is costing us money."
Right, let's get unfinished guitars and half saw the neck and break those.
Yeah.
It's still it's the message that you're sending, and I don't fucking like it.
Well, I will say this too. It's kind of I don't have a problem with it. I guess I kind of am one of those people who kind of loves it in a show business sort of sense, but I also see it, like I said, as arrogance and as privilege. I really hate that anybody after Townsend has done it. That is definitely one of those things that's like been done.
All been done to death.
Because there are certain things, but it's rock and roll. People take this and they take a little of that, but there are certain things that that is such a distinct thing.
Yeah,
one person needs to do that. And that's it.
That's enough.
And, he only did it for a certain period of time. Like, at a certain point, he was like, I am not doing this. He refused to do it after a certain point. That's a very specific thing, a very specific person. Anybody who does that after that, it's just like, oh, come on, man. Come on.
It's annoying. It's annoying. It's not original, and it's wasteful.
Copycat.
And I'll tell you what, I am one of the biggest gear snobs you are ever going to talk to.
Really?
Yes. If you guys don't want to have your eyes roll back into the back of your fucking head permanently, do not get into a conversation with me about guitars and amps and gear, because I am the snobbiest motherfucker on earth. There are guitars you could not pay me to play, and I still would rather see that guitar go to somebody who's in need than get destroyed.
Yeah.
I can dig that.
That being said, now let's move on to my most overrated. My most overrated guitar player is Ace Frehley.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought he was going to be your number one worst.
No. So I've written a little write-up for this and for all my worst. So this guy was hot shit for like 8 years before completely disappearing into a bottle. He's been beating the same licks into the ground for decades and gives me no indication that he actually even cares about playing and sees it as nothing more than a means to pay the bills. I don't know this to be the case, but it isn't my fault he gives off that vibe.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong. As the Ace Frehley fan here, I already basically said all that.
Yep, you did. You beat me to the punch, and I co-signed everything you said.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's get on to my dishonorable mentions.
Yeah.
I've got dishonorable mentions here, and I've got a little write-up for each of them. First up, Jack White. This guy makes everything more difficult than it needs to be. It's obnoxious, really, using beaten-up old department store guitars that weren't meant to survive until the kid's next birthday through amps not meant for the task at hand and just making a bunch of noise with fuzz pedals. I once saw this thing where he put like a PA system into a guitar. I'm like, this guy's just an asshole. I just don't like this shit. Next up, the guys in the Strokes, because fuck the Strokes. Hashtag fuck the Strokes, and that is at fuckthestrokes.com.
.com.
Yeah, and .co.uk.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Vinnie Vincent. Oh, Vinnie Vincent.
I almost put in Vinnie Vincent.
Let me explain.
No, I almost did.
Fantastic rhythm guitarist, super impressive lead chops, and an excellent songwriter.
But
the problem, even without getting into the clear mental health issues, is that he just ejaculates notes endlessly and calls them solos. He risks ruining his own catchy songs and sometimes kinda does.
Ejaculates.
For proof of that, look at any of his solo spots during the Kiss tours and listen to the 2 Vinnie Vincent Invasion albums, loaded with awesome, catchy pop rock and metal songwriting that sometimes Vinnie shows up 3 minutes into and just ruins.
Well, I want to say also, he is a very underrated vocalist. He's a great singer. I've heard stuff with him.
I've heard the demos, yeah.
I'm like, I listen to them and go, why the fuck does he get singers? Like, he sounds great.
Because he wanted that high range.
Yeah, but I guess, yeah, it's a taste thing. My taste is like, fuck, I want to hear him singing these songs.
The dude, there's no denying the man's massive fucking talent. It's the only reason Kiss even kept trying to go back to that well until it became clear that they could not go back to that well anymore. But he also is his own worst enemy.
Yeah.
You know, you write like this amazing catchy rock or metal song, and then it's time for you to take a solo, and it's like, oh, that was a little excessive, but all right, he's going to turn it. No, he's not turning back around. Nope. He's not bringing it to the. No, he's still. Oh, it just got worse. Oh, it's a confusing mess. Oh, it's been about a minute and a half. Jesus Christ. I remember that this song was good.
You know, he should just join Nitro and just have, you know.
Can you do me a favor? Can you turn off that candle back there?
Oh,
it's hot.
It's hot.
What's happening? Is it? Oh, I guess it is kind of bringing
It's
the heat,
hot.
isn't it?
It's hot.
I'm forgetting about candles, fire, heat. Oh, I forgot how stuff worked.
My next on my dishonorable mentions, we have Neil Young. Here's my write-up on Neil Young. He has had, checks notes, 60 years to improve beyond just making a bunch of noise while bending notes out of tune. His tone is also terrible. You can push almost any amp hard enough to distort, but there are a lot of them that sound horrible if you do. Neil Young does not appear to care.
No, he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care.
I like some of his playing, but I am not going to differ with you on anything you're saying.
Whenever I mention Neil Young, my wife Melissa, she brings up this story about when she went to a Neil Young show, didn't know what to expect, and she said the majority of the show is it would come to guitar solo time, and he and like 2 other guitar players would just get around in a circle and not look at the rest of the crowd
and jerk
just
off.
And jerk off. For 15 minutes.
How long ago did she see this?
I forget. I don't know when it was, but
never mind. I'll talk about him in a minute.
yeah. Next up on my list of dishonorable mentions, Kerry King from Slayer.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, yeah. I don't know a lot about him, but I've been seeing his name pop up on these types of lists.
Yes, Slayer solos are the sound of someone making jazz hands in a theremin running into a gained-up modded Marshall, and also the Marshall is falling down the stairs. My next on my list, Thurston Moore, because Sonic Youth. And now moving on to my actual least favorite, worst guitarist of all time. This is going to be something real obscure, and I'd be shocked if you know who this is. If you do, I'm impressed. Least favorite guitar player of all time, The Great Cat.
I know who the
You
Great
do!
Cat is. I
You do!
know who the Great Cat.
You do
I
know who
absolutely
the Great
know who the
Cat
Great Cat
is! Of Worship Me or Die
Worship
fame?
Me or Die, yeah.
Oh
I
my
absolutely
god! Oh my god! Okay, so
The
yes,
album cover,
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I know this.
The Great Cat.
Never heard
So, all right.
Worship Me or Die. I forgot about
Yeah,
it. But
I wrote, I still can't decide if she is for real. This is either Andy Kaufman level performance art, or she's genuinely, seriously mentally ill. So The Great Cat is a perfect example of just how good marketing how effective marketing can be, okay? Because I saw the cover of Worship Me or Die, and she's, and it's like, oh, female shred guitar player, came out in 1987, looks metal, a bunch of titles about evil and Satan. All right, fuck it. You got my attention. I'll give this a listen. It is unlistenable garbage. It is not even music. And her whole shtick is like, she's just like this self-promotion machine, where she's like this Juilliard-trained classical virtuoso violinist that decided to get into shred, and she claims she's the fastest guitar player alive, and she does all these albums where she covers classical pieces on guitar and violin. All she's doing, aside from being clearly not well and possibly a danger to herself, is just tremolo picking. While moving her fingers up and down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
So
like
she's
beginner shit.
She's
Like,
the Angeline of shred.
I could teach the two of you to do this, but to do what the Great Cat does before we leave today.
Oh, okay.
Honestly.
on camera.
On camera, I could do it. I fucking guarantee you I could. That's how stupid this whole shtick is, and it's insulting, really.
How long has she been around?
Since
I've
like
never
the
heard of
fucking
her.
late 80s.
Like the early to mid 80s.
Really?
Yeah, her fucking, that Worship Me or Die record came out in 87.
The Great Cat.
something
I've
like that.
never heard of
Yeah.
her.
Okay, okay.
And she, don't remember, she's great to look at, you know, the whole fucking imagery and everything. Like, she's a metal dominatrix. It's like, okay, cool.
She's a skinny blonde
Fuck
chick.
it. Yeah, basically.
Surprise.
Skinny blonde chick. She's very attractive.
Yeah.
She's fucking terrible. She's terrible. And there are people that still actually defend her. It's like, how much of a dipshit are you?
The Great Cat.
Wow.
Like, she's either crazy or she's just fooling all of you.
Fuck, I remember that record when it was new. I remember seeing that, and my friends and I used to just be like, oh, we used to laugh. We didn't even hear the record, and we were laughing at it because you could tell that it was ridiculous.
It's abominable.
But in the early 90s, I think it was late 80s, early 90s. Late 80s, early 90s, Joan Rivers had an afternoon talk show. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
The Great Cat was on there once.
No.
He had the
Really?
Great Cat on. And Great Cat was sitting there just spewing all this shit about, about how classically trained she is. All that bullshit. And then she performed. It was just like...
We gotta head to YouTube after this.
Oh my god.
It's noise.
Wow.
It's a bunch
Yeah.
of fucking noise while she makes stupid goddamn faces and stomps around.
But what's great
It's
is you
just-
have Joan Rivers sitting there trying to pretend like she gets it
Into
at
it.
all.
It is
know?
so bad. It is so fucking bad.
Yeah.
It is the level of bad that, like, has us all scratching our heads with the whole Corey Feldman thing.
Yeah.
It's that level.
It's like that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's my worst of. So over to you, Crystal.
All right. What do I got my worth list? All right, so here are some runners-up. Noel Gallagher, the dude from Coldplay, Elvis Presley, Dave Mustaine, Courtney Love, Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne?
Yeah, he's a guitar player. Yngwie Malmsteen. And I got Thurston Moore on there too. So
Can I just
Yes.
can I just need to defend Dave. I have to
Go
defend
ahead.
Dave Mustaine.
Go ahead.
Dave Mustaine is actually a furiously talented guitar player. He seems like he's the most obnoxious person in the room at any given moment.
And he's one of
is-
the worst singers.
And he's a terrible singer.
I'm not-
And I haven't liked any of his music in decades, but I do have to say that I have to defend him as a guitarist back in the day.
That's fine. I'm not talking about his personality or anything like that. I'm literally talking about his guitar playing.
Okay, all right.
It just doesn't work for
If
me.
you're just not there for it, you're not
I'm
there
not
for
there
it.
for it. No. I'm not. No,
Okay.
I'm not.
So who's your worth then?
And then let me say, a lot of people say that Bono is a terrible guitar player or Madonna is a terrible guitar player. They are singers who play some guitar. They are not guitar players. I don't know why that's not clear to people, but they're not guitar players. Madonna puts on a guitar, she strums some chords, a little bit of thing. You know, maybe she puts stuff on wax. It says so in the notes, but we know that that could be a lie. I've seen her live a bunch of times where she was playing. It was acoustic. It was passable. Could I have done better? Maybe, with a little more practice. But they are not guitar players. They're singers who play guitar. So stop saying that they're guitar players, because they're not. Yeah. So here's my top 10 of the worst. Ted Nugent. And I'm not talking about his shit. I'm talking about as a player. No.
It's all show.
It's
and no.
all show, and there's
Yeah.
it's all potatoes and no meat. It's not good. He's not a good guitar player. Do you think he's a good guitar player?
He has moments where he's a really good guitar player, but there's also moments where it's just a bunch of noise.
That's not enough. You need more than moments. I think he stinks. Number 9, and this may be controversial, but I have Kirk Hammett.
Yeah, it's not too controversial.
It's not as controversial. as
It's
you
not
might
very
think.
controversial at all.
Yeah. You apparently agree with the internet.
Oh, okay. I do? All right. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I thought people would come for me.
No, I don't think anyone's come before
I don't
you.
really...
He's all right.
He's all right.
It's all right.
If they come for you about Kirk Hammett, just throw some wah pedals on the ground for them to trip over.
And then run away.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I have Nick and or Joe Jonas from the Jonas Brothers. Now, I've had the misfortune of seeing them live. Why? Because I had friends with kids. One of the other parents was supposed to go. They couldn't do it. They asked me to go. Sure, free show. What the fuck? Hang out with your kids, babysit your kids. That's fine. No. Then at number 7, I have Ed Sheeran.
Well, I think we're back to the Madonna and...
No, but he's not even a good singer. He is...
No, I mean, I don't think he's a guitar player either.
Yeah, Ed
That's what I'm saying.
Sheeran, he plays the same, basically 3 chords over and over and over, aside from the ones that he stole from Marvin Gaye. And it's just like... And then he sort of does some appropriation shit. Like, he is a... what do the kids say these days? A clout chaser or something? Where they copy somebody else because it's popular.
They say he's low-key something.
Yeah,
That's
low-key
what the
something.
kids say. It's low-key.
Whatever
and then
you people behind me say, that's what he is. He's not good. Like, some of the songs are pretty good. I like his songwriting. But, no, he's not a good singer, and he's definitely not a good guitar player. At number 6, I have Tom Morello. No.
I don't even care enough about him to hate him.
Yeah, I've heard people say it in interviews and things that other guitar players have said about him, like on the line of that he's so inventive with what he does. He's not inventing anything. He's like an okay guitar player who likes to bang and smash on the... It's not good. And just because he's in Rage Against the Machine and that he has a particular set of politics and all that, that's got nothing to do with his guitar playing, you know? If you're going to talk about a political guitar player, give me Pete Seeger over Tom Morello. I'd rather take a 60s folk singer than him if you're going to just talk about his politics. And that's, yeah. Number 5, I have Jerry Garcia. I do not think that he was a good guitar player. To me, he was like kind of basic at best. And then you got a band where it's just like nonstop noodling, and noodling, and noodling, and noodling.
Weedly weedly wee.
Widdly diddly dee, like not even good as ringly dingly do.
No, yeah, it's no ringly dingly
no
do.
ringly dingly
sure.
do. It's widdly diddly dee for 25 minutes. You know.
And that's one song.
You're on acid, you're doing whatever, like, no. And I forced myself to see them live twice to see if I could get it. Because again, I'm not a drug taker, but I thought maybe the music would reach me. No. Boring as fuck. BAF. Number 4, I have John Mayer. John Mayer. Aside from being a piece of shit human being and a racist piece of shit human being.
I don't think I've ever even heard him play guitar.
You don't want to, because he tries really hard to be Eric Clapton-ish, kinda. He fancies himself like a new Eric Clapton sort of dude. And it's just like, you know, he's the guy who won the contest in high school. That's who John Mayer is. They had a battle of the bands in high school, and he won. Yeah. And not because he was a great guitar player, because all the girls voted for him because they thought he was hot. He's not hot either. He's got a racist cock. Coming in at number 3, I got Neil Young. All downstrokes with his hand on the whammy bar. And I read somewhere that he constantly uses very heavy gauge strings. I think that's part of it. Now, he's written some really amazing songs. I love Neil Young. Don't get me wrong. But the circle jerk thing? Yes. No. Coming in at number 2, I got George Thorogood. That may be a reach back in time, but I gotta tell you, when he was out with his Delaware Destroyers, and this is also a part of being a Northeast Coast person, because he played Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, blah, 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 all the time. He was opening for Bruce Springsteen. He was opening for this person. He had his solo tours, whatever. Not a good guitar player, because he wanted to be Bo Diddley. He wants to be Bo Diddley. Is he still alive? I don't know. He wanted to be Bo Diddley and played those covers. And how many arguments did I get in with these young white guys? No, he did not write that. That's a Bo Diddley song. He can't touch the hem of Bo Diddley's garment. Can't do it.
Supposedly, he's also kind of a douchebag, too.
I knew that from the jump. He was a douchebag. Yeah. But, like, bad to the bone, I mean, if you're doing a na-na-na-na song, what? You're not... No, I can do that. I'm not a guitar player. I could do that. But my number 1 worst guitar player, Sid Vicious. Now again, some people were like, he's not a guitar player, he was a fucking junkie that was propped up there.
Actually, what I was going to say was like, I was going to say he wasn't a guitarist, he was a bass player. You'd be like, no, he wasn't.
But he wasn't even a bassist. Yeah. But he wasn't even a bassist. But I did see him play guitar.
He was a poser.
A bunch of times.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. He was a fucking crazy fucking junkie. You know, like, yeah. So, bass guitar player, let's take him out of being a bassist. He's just terrible. He was terrible at what he did. Didn't matter what it was in his hands. You know? Lap steel, bass.
Drums for Susie and the Banshees for like a week.
Yeah.
Auto harp.
I don't care what it is.
What if it turned out that was the instrument that he was like
the best
a natural prodigy on auto harp, and we just never got to know?
That would have been funny. That would have been funny. But yeah, people often mistake him for being a guitar player, and I'm like, have you heard of Steve Jones? I don't know. But yeah, I don't care what you put in his hands. He sucks. That's
all right.
That.
Well, all right.
That's
all right.
Yeah.
We're all right. Well,
what kind of commercials are we gonna have with guitar players?
Give us a break. We need to put on some AC.
We gotta focus everything in my face, because that's most important. I'll trade anything you got in your closet for you got a musical instrument, I'll trade it for a stereo. You got a stereo, I'll trade it for a musical instrument. I'll trade about anything for anything. give me your Z, Blaine. No matter what you got in the closet, bring it in. I'll offer you cash for it. You got an old Fender Stratocaster or an old Gibson Les Paul, I'll give you a dime or two.
Hi.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, not for long because we're gonna actually get the hell out of here.
Bye.
Because we're really anxious for this video to end because we want
hot
to get
as
right to
fuck.
what we have coming up next week, which is
that's the reason?
albums of the year 2021.
Oh.
No, you said we didn't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, we do.
You lured me
there's
here
still
under
some years
false
left.
pretenses.
Yeah.
No, we stopped the photos.
That's bait and switch, sir.
bait and switch.
No, that's bait and switch.
Bullshit.
Sorry. Get it?
Stop that.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, if you maybe consider subscribing if you haven't, but if you do, click the little bell, comment, like, all that
Tell
kind of
your
shit.
friends.
Yeah, and you know,
to the music,
be sure and
listen
come
to
back. Please be sure and come at us and tell us that we're stupid because we didn't put a guitar player that you think
like.
should be above the other guitar player,
Yeah.
above that guitar player.
Right.
Take a hike. Anyway, all right. So we will see you guys next week, 2021. Bye bye. Ready to rock? Are we ready to rock?
Oh yeah. Where's my cradle? Oh no, that's the other.
Ow! Ow! Rock the cradle of love. Oh, you're making some later Billy Idol references. That's what you're doing.
No, I was talking Van Halen and the cradle.
Oh yeah.
Will rock. Oh, rock on.
Okay. Oh, we're already rolling, so we gotta turn the AC off.
Oh yeah. Turn the AC. Oh, I'll turn the AC off.
Right.
Let's see. I mean, you can do it that way. You just want the neck to go lower.
Which way are you gonna point the guitar?
Or you could do the left-handy thing. It's not like you have to actually play it.
I want to make sure I don't.
Oh, but you know, if she does it left-handed, then the neck's out of the shot. Well, so is yours.
I want to make sure nothing hits this thing, though.
That's what's more important.
It's incredibly important.
All right.
It is.
The technicalities of a good and proper, as it should be,
God
Yeah.
damn it.
shoot.
All right.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Well, all right!